how's it going everyone? It's Ben Falcon's Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to yet another movie review, aka After a Soul review video for today. For this new aka After a Soul review video for today, this is going to be my review on a brand new release film for 2022, which this movie came out just a few days ago in the US, but for the UK, this movie came out just a few weeks earlier before the US did. And this movie has been talked about on the internet for quite a while. It's been talked about in some news articles as well as on YouTube. And for this movie, I really want to review this film like the day after I saw this movie, but I had a few things under me about with my job, as well as seeing some other new releases. But since I'm off work and I have nothing really else planned for the day, I feel like I should make this video and give you guys my honest opinion on what I just saw a few weeks ago. So today's review is going to be my review on the 2022 black comedy drama film, and that movie is The Banshees of Inisherin. This was written and directed by McDonough, and this film is set in 1923 in Ireland, where we follow two lifelong best friends, which consist of Patrick, played by Colin Farrell, and Colin, played by Gleeson. And for these two characters, they've been best friends for a very long time until one day in this movie, their friendship has unexpectedly came to an end. In which we see Colin has decided to basically end his friendship with Patrick, and he doesn't want to think about him or anything. And basically for Patrick himself, he's trying to he's questioning himself, like, why has this happened to him? And he's thinking to himself, has he done anything that's kind of ruined their friendship or anything? And he's also trying to question Colin to himself, like, why has he done this to him and why has their friendship ended? And it's really making him very upset and very miserable. And while he does get a few support from his sister, who really cares for him, who in this movie is being played by Kerry Condon. And so for Patrick himself, he decides to basically set out and repair this whole damaged friendship that's happening between him and Colin. Hopefully they can be best friends again. But as for Colin's resolve strengthens, he delivers an ultimatum to Patrick, in which it will soon lead up to some really bad, shocking consequences. So that's pretty much the plot synopsis for The Banshees of Inisherin. Now, I was really looking forward to this movie. This was one of my most anticipated films this year, and when it comes to McDonough as a filmmaker, I really adore his movies. I really enjoyed In Bruges. I thought that movie was absolutely hilarious, which that film starred Colin Farrell and Gleeson, which that's really interesting, because they made a film 14 years ago, and so 14 years later, they've come back to make a new film, which is this one. And then McDonough also did Seven Psychopaths, which I also thought that was a great movie too, which that also starred Colin Farrell. And McDonough's last film he did was, of course, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I absolutely adore that film. I thought that film was absolutely wonderful, and I really adore that one a lot more than his last two films. Even though I really enjoy his last two films he did, but I just really adored Three Billboards the most when it comes to his films. And I can definitely say for that film, it definitely deserved the Oscars it received for, because it won for Best Actress for Frances McDormand and Best Supporting Actor for Sam Rockwell. And once I heard McDonough was making a new film, which was this one, like I said, I was just genuinely excited for this one. And I heard a few news articles about this movie, it was playing at a few film festivals and it received some critical acclaim. And once I heard that, I was like, I have to go and see this film. And once I saw the trailers for this film, before I was going to go and see this film, I was just genuinely pumped for this movie. And like I said, this movie was released just a few weeks ago in the UK earlier, and this movie was released just a few days ago in the US, just last week. So I did see this movie just the day after it was released, because I went to see Black Adam first. So I went to see this movie on the 22nd of October, and for my screening, there was a fair amount of people in my screening. And after watching this whole movie, I gotta say, this is easily gotta be Martin McDonagh's best film since Three Billboards, because I absolutely adore this film, and I can definitely say this is a masterpiece of filmmaking here. There's a lot of things to really praise out of this whole movie, like the acting. Colin Farrell's absolutely phenomenal here in this movie, and this is definitely his best performance out of his career. And for his character, I really found myself caring for this character throughout this whole movie, because at first he's generally a nice person, but once he finds out his friendship is over with this man he's very close to his ending, his character starts to change, but he doesn't change into a lunatic or anything like that. He just, even though there are times when he does get drunk and makes bad decisions, and once after all that's happened to him, he just feels like he's a person with a broken soul. And for what Farrell did throughout this whole film, I thought was just genuinely powerful. And Brendan Gleeson, I thought he was terrific in the movie too. And once we get to see him interact with Farrell in the film, despite the characters not best friends anymore, those moments I thought genuinely were very well invested, and it really got me on the edge of my seat. Always kept questioning myself, just why is their friendship over? And that's obviously the biggest question throughout this whole film. Why is their friendship over? And as for the actors in the film, like Barry Keoghan and Kerry Condon, I thought they were all terrific in the movie too. Kerry Condon, I thought her performance was great for being really heartbreaking, because you do really feel for her character and what she goes through, like on how to deal with her brother, like what he's doing and what decisions he's making. Once it takes a toll on her life, you can see it's really becoming a struggle for her to basically show caring and support for her brother, like what he's going through. And Barry Keoghan, I thought he was terrific for his performance, and you do feel sympathy for this kid's life, even though he's not in the movie that much, even though he pops up for a few scenes once in a while. But once you see what's going on with this kid's life when he pops up for new scenes, you soon start to understand like what's going on with this kid's life, because for his home life it's absolutely terrible for him. And just overall, everyone in this movie was just absolutely terrific here. And the direction by McDonough looks absolutely beautiful for the whole location shooting area for the film. Like, because it's set in one location area, which is basically an island. And I also like the timing of the film, where it's basically in the 1920s. I also like the sets of the film, like the houses, the pub, and the church. I thought they looked great. And the costumes as well looked absolutely great too. And for having all that being captured on the big screen, it just looked absolutely beautiful. And McDonough also directed some different types of moments in the film, which were very well done. Like the moments where it does tend to have some dramatic moments, which for those moments I thought were genuinely powerful. And they really almost got me emotionally, that I felt like I just wanted to cry, even though I didn't cry while I was watching this whole movie. I was staying strong for those moments. And he also directed some moments that does tend to have some dark, shocking moments, which those moments are pretty bloody and violent, I would say, even though even though this movie is not a flat-out violent film, because it's mostly a dramatic comedy film. Even though this movie does tend to have some bloody moments, even though it's not this movie doesn't have a few like guns or anything like that. Most of the violence is basically some people getting beaten up or punched or anything like that, which those moments are shocking. And the moments where it does tend to have some like chuckle-worthy moments were absolutely funny, that I couldn't stop laughing my ass off, like what the characters are saying, like for the lines of dialogue, which the lines of dialogue were just absolutely hilarious, which is mostly due to McDonough's writing talent, which his writing talent for this movie was just very well written and just pure genius. And as for the storytelling for this movie, I found the whole storytelling for this movie very relatable, very powerful, and yet very personal here, because the whole storytelling for this movie is basically about someone who you're very close to in your life, who you're in a relationship with, like say your best friend, your boyfriend or your girlfriend has suddenly come to an end, and it's hard for yourself to basically accept and just move on from all of that. I found it very relatable and very personal here for myself, because I've had the exact same experience like that before in the past. Like I've had very, very close friends who I was very close to, who we used to get along with each other, and it ended for me so hard that it was very upset, it was very sad, and it was just very hard for me to accept from it and just move on from all that. And even kind of question myself, like, did I do anything wrong to ruin all that? Which, for what this movie did, for what this whole movie did on the big screen, it just really hit me home so hard, and it really almost got me emotional that I just feel like I wanted to cry, even though I didn't cry while I was watching this whole movie, because I was just getting really invested. I was just like laughing my ass off and just really getting hooked on for what was going on, even though there was a little bit of tear in my eye that almost showed up when for the stuff that just really hit me home so hard. And but I've luckily managed to move on from what I went through, and managed to make some new best friends who I'm very close to, who have given me support, and I've given support to them as well. And for doing all of that, I'm very, very proud of them for doing all of that. And despite the film being an hour and 54 minutes, the pacing of this movie never drags on. There was never a scene that made out flat out boring or even dull, because the pacing of this movie is paced so smoothly to get yourself really well hooked in with its storytelling and its message, which again, it's very powerful and yet very relatable and yet very personal here for myself, and even for yourself if you went for that exact same experience before like I did. And overall, in the end, guys, The Banshees of Inisherin, this is definitely Martin McDonagh's masterpiece here, and it's definitely his best film since Three Billboards here. Even though I still love that film, but this is still hit. But this film though, I could definitely say this is definitely his best work here, and I can definitely say this is definitely another one of my favorite films of the year. And if you're a fan of Martin McDonagh's works, or you're a fan of the cast like Colin Farrell, Brandon Gleeson, or if you're a fan of like movies that have something to do with your personal lives, this one is definitely not one to miss out. If it is playing in a local cinema near you, don't miss out on this film. Go out, get a ticket for this film, and even get a big bucket of popcorn for yourself for this one, and don't miss out on this masterpiece of a film here. So that's pretty much all I have to say about The Banshees of Inisherin. I'm gonna give The Banshees of Inisherin 5 out of 5. there was not a single dull moment I could really pick out with this movie that really bugged me or even frustrated me while I was watching this whole film, because as this movie soon started, I was just immediately hooked on and really engaged throughout this whole film. And again, I can definitely say this is definitely another one of my favorites this year, and definitely my favorite Martin McDonough film to date here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After Hours review on the Banshees of Inisherin, and let me know what you think of this brand new release. If you just recently checked out this film, if you've already seen this film, did you absolutely adore this, or did you not really appreciate this? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.